I have been living with sickle cell anemia for 38 years of my life. It is an absolute joy to be here and to be able to share my life experiences. It's definitely not a fun road to be walking. Not every day is as joyous as I would like it to be. So,
What do you think is the one thing that you wish everyone understood about living with sickle cell disease?
for me particularly, I look great. I mean, in my mind, I believe I look great. And I have no signs, outward signs of sickness or anything of that nature. So anybody sees me out in public or out even when I go to the hospital or at work, and they assume I am fine. When deep down, I am constantly struggling with fatigue. Chronic fatigue is one of my biggest struggle. Another difficulty is with the invisibility of it. For me, is the fact that when I start having pain, my temptation is to tough it out. Um, so as I tough it out, people often are extremely surprised. Like, you were just fine and now you're in extreme pain. Like, what just happened? Right now, I could be having wrist pain and you would not know.
What would you say is the biggest burden of living with sickle cell that would surprise most people who don't live with it?
I think just the day to day fatigue can go from simple fatigue to full on crisis in very little time. So one of my biggest burden is making plans. Um, we all want to make life plans. I want to have coffee time with a friend, and which this have happened to where I planned out coffee time with my friend, and on that very morning, all of a sudden I start feeling pain. So I'm not very good at living very sporadically. I have to have, you know, my agenda. So it's really burdensome to me to make plans and think in the back of my mind. I'm always thinking, hopefully, I will make it to those plans.
Can you tell me how it feels when the pain is so severe that you can't make it to those plans? What does that do for you emotionally?
That's when my emotions start to just decline. Um, I go into life is not fair. This is not fair. This should not be happening right now. Um, and it really impacts me that, okay, and if my spouse had plans, he also would have to um, cancel his plans to take care of me, or I would have to call a friend, and I feel so burdensome to them. One of my biggest struggle is I'm a burden to many people around me. I'm constantly a burden because if I fall ill, they will have to also stop their lives. And being that in the beginning of my life, it was my mother, my condition have impacted my mom from uh, living her life fully, and yeah, she just had to take care of me constantly. And so, but it's it's lies that we have to debunk in our minds. Oh, I have to debunk in my mind. And so,
Yeah, and you mentioned there about your mom and you have siblings, and I understand there is a genetic familial link with the condition. In your experience, how has the condition affected your family in that way?
my oldest sister was always pretty great at helping mom, taking care of me. But my younger siblings, the more that they became aware of what sickle cell truly is, the more that they saw me in bed with so much pain, they grew more empathy. I remember I grew up one of when I was teenage years, I shared a bedroom with my younger sister, and I just remember that it would even disrupt her own sleep because we would be sleeping, and all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, I wake up with pain. And in my mind, I always think it's gonna go away, which it has before. And so I just keep on thinking, wishing it's gonna go away. It's gonna go away. Maybe I just need a Tylenol. And when it does, and it goes from level 5 to level, it feels like 10, but it's probably at 7. I'm screaming at my sister, go and get mom, go and get mom. I am, in so much pain. So yeah, it became definitely something that the whole family had to be involved. Um, my younger brother, he once told me he's just finished medical school. He's doing his residency now, and he once told me, "You are one of the reasons that why I went to medical school." And so I tried so hard to this day, and I'm so proud of him. And I try so hard to see even the bad things, even sickle cell inspires my siblings, to do better and to go out there and care for other people. So um, had, it had negatives, but also positives come out, and so.
How has your condition impacted on your romantic relationship?
So as we were just dating, I made sure to be very straightforward. Hey, this is something that I live with. This is something that is not going to go away. Um, in a way, you're either in or out. When I had my hip replacement, my husband he is lovely. He was so great, taking care of me. But there were times that he would get burnt out. Um, and he would need a little bit of his own time. And so I remember that just was a really hard time in our relationship. It was just a lot. It just asking for help constantly.
Mm.
He would try to lay down, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I am uncomfortable. I need your help to get up. And then he would help me try to rest up, a little bit too. And I'm so sorry. My bladder just notified me I need to go to the bathroom. So I need help getting to the bathroom, to where I reached a point where I was having so much anxiety. And this was definitely one of my lowest points, where I was just feeling I am in this apartment, and it feels as if there's smoke everywhere. This is the best way that I can explain it. There's smoke everywhere, and the only option that I have to get some air is if I jump, which it gets really dark. um, and that's how it truly affects mental health. It just blinds you from the good things that are in front of you, whether it's because of the hip replacement that you had to do at a really young age, or whether it is because other people are being impacted and their lives are being interrupted because of my own life. It just really gets so dark, to where mentally I have to constantly check myself, or else it feels like the room is filling up with smoke. I'm going blind and I see a light outside, but I have to jump in order to get to that, and relieve myself from the burden.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually about your hip replacement when you mentioned the first one and then you mentioned the second one, and you're so young. And I don't know if when you said it, it was very sort of like, oh yeah, when I had my hip replacement, oh when I had my second hip
Yeah.
replacement. Like they're not major things. Does that surprise other people, do you think, when you
Yes.
mention it?
Very much so, yes. And I've only gotten to this place now. If taken a year for me to talk about it so relaxed. Because when I first got the diagnosis last year, actually, so August of 2024, I went to the doctor with a lot of pain. I was seeing a chiropractor at first because it just felt like I was unaligned. And so after that, we had to do more. So went to the doctor, got X-rays, and the doctor told me we have to do surgery. You have a vascular necrosis, which is caused by sickle cell due to not getting your joints, your hip joints are not getting enough blood circulation in that area. So your bones are dying. At that point, I was in denial. I did not want to believe that I needed a hip replacement. Um, I entered a very deep state of just not just denial, but also sadness. I just was very downcast, very, um, I guess I could say depressed, really, about it. Try to play it off, but then it came to a point where going up the stairs was a real burden, a struggle. I started using a cane to walk around. And that's when reality really hit. Okay, this is really serious. You need to take care of this. So we actually are coming to the anniversary, the 1 year anniversary of my left hip replacement. Um, so yes, around that time it took a while for me to really be okay with it. But people, whenever they hear 38-year-old hip replacement, they're like, what? That can't be. But it definitely usually shock people to hear, and then I have to constantly explain. That's the invisibility also, like, you look fine, you have to have a hip replacement. So it it gets a little bit tiring, to be honest, to have to constantly explain due to sickle cell anemia. What is sickle cell anemia? This is what sickle cell anemia is. Yeah, it gets a little bit tiring.
And I was wondering if you could give a message to the people who are working to
Mhm.
treat your condition, whether that's the doctors, the nurses, the drug developers, what would that be?
My main message, I believe, would be to look at the whole person, not just the disease. Um, I feel that often here's sickle cell, and then here's the person, like in the kind of in the back corner, Look at the face of the individual going through it. Look at the pain um, that this is truly causing, not just physically, but there is also mental pain to go with it. I've had experiences where individual nurse looked at me and I was asking for oxygen. I needed, because with sickle cell, there's not enough oxygen. And the nurse looked at me, take deep breaths, and you just had an anxiety attack. I'm not asking for drugs. I'm not asking for painkillers. I'm asking for oxygen because I cannot breathe with this pain. So, the main message that I would definitely continually, um, yeah, give to them or speak to them is look at the person, put yourself in their shoes, or at least look at them as if it was your loved one. I think sometimes when we think of our loved ones, we have a little bit more empathy versus this is another patient that I'm taking care of.